We're moving into a guided mindfulness sitting session now. Once again, could I remind you to please switch off your mobile phones? Do not answer it. If it does ring, hopefully it will be on silent. And please not to have any conversations during the sessions, specifically while you are having the mindfulness sitting session. So thank you, everyone. I would now like to invite the Venerable Panadure Chandaratana to conduct the mindfulness session.
Good morning to everyone, members of the Sangha, members of the clergy, and friends in mindfulness. May you settle back to your seats. If you are comfortable, please close your eyes. Now you have been out, so your mind may be a little less restless. So come back to the building now, not in the canteen, not in your washroom, but now back in the meeting room. May you softly close your eyes, not too tight, gently, like you are going to sleep, but not going to sleep. You can adjust your posture. You may sit comfortably. Check whether your clothes are too tight. If any place is catching your attention, drawing your attention, please adjust those places. Please have a balanced posture. If your attention is drawn evenly to everywhere throughout the body, then it is much better. You can keep your hands on top of the other, maybe resting on your knees, the way you like. More you feel relaxed, take that posture. Just relax. Come back to the present moment. Nothing to achieve, just coming back to yourself. If your hands are resting on your knees, you might feel the weight of your hands on your knees. If your hands are touching together, you may feel the warmth of one hand to the other. If your soles are touching the floor, just check whether you can feel it. If your legs are touching together, check whether you can feel the touching. You are resting on a cushion or you are resting mostly on chair, just check. Your buttocks are touching the chair. You might feel the pressure. Just softly move your attention. You may be closing your mouth. Your lips are touching together. You are gently closing your eyes. Eyelids are touched. You may hear the sounds. Just neglect them. Your mind might wander to the past. It may carry certain memories, maybe beautiful ones, maybe painful ones. But right now it is just a memory. Don't give any value to the thoughts right now. At this moment, any past incident is nothing but memory. If you like, you can note it, label it as memory. Memory. If not it going to the past, it might wander towards the future. It may be a brilliant idea, it may be a brilliant plan, but still right now it is just a plan, just a projection of the mind. Don't give any value to that future plan. It is just planning, just planning. If you are able to release your mind from the past and the future, your mind may come to the present. Present is simple, it is not complex. It is utterly simple. You might feel yourself. You are touching the body. Just bring your attention to your body. Just relax. Feel at ease. Keep your head straight. Don't let it bend down too much. If you are paying your attention closely to the body, it is naturally breathing. You don't need to intentionally breathe. Body breathes by itself. While it is breathing, check whether you can pay your attention to breathing. As you breathing in, your abdomen may come forward, move forward. If you like, you can label it as rising. Once it reaches its end, it may move back. You can label it as falling. Using labels, you can hinge your mind to the process. Rising, falling. Check whether you can be with the complete cycle. Rising, falling. If your mind wanders, slowly bring it back. Don't hate yourself. Slowly, gently, again establish your mindfulness. Check whether you can be with rising and falling. When you are feeling rising, you don't need to expect even the next falling. You are just with rising. It is softly starting. and moving forward, and your sensation may improve, and at the end it comes to an end. That's a subtle resting period. Check whether you can trace it, you can feel it. When it is coming back, it is more relaxing. No weight, no stress. It's coming back, falling. There's a little gap between falling and rising. Check whether you can feel it. When your attention grows, you don't need to even note, even to label, even to verbally tell it is rising or falling. You can simply aware of it. Just keeping your mind, keeping your attention with the process. As with the body, your mind moves with it. Body is always in the present. Now mind is also in the present. It is quite simple. Appreciate this simplicity. If your attention draws to the nostril, if you are familiar with in-breath and out-breath occurring at your nostril, it's quite okay. You can pay your attention, keep your attention at the nostril. As you gently breathing in, be aware that you are breathing in. As you breathe out, gently aware that you are breathing out. Don't move or don't follow the breath. Try to keep your attention at the nostril. It's like a gatekeeper. Does not follow the breath to inside or to outside. Try to establish mindfulness at the nostril, anchoring at the nostril. In breath, out breath. In breath, out breath. If your mind wanders, gently take it back. Don't hate yourself. Start from where you left. If you can be aware of complete breath, try to be aware of it. It gently begins, softly begins, then slowly increasing. You are able to feel it more and more. After it is reaching to its peak, it goes back. Your sensation reduces and comes to an end. There's a little gap between the end of the in-breath and the beginning of the out-breath. See whether you can feel it. Out-breath slowly begins. It improves. Its intensity increases. Again, it slowly fades away. It comes to its end. There's a little gap between ending of the out-breath and the beginning of the in-breath. Check whether you can feel it. Your mind is in the present moment. Body is in the present moment. Breath occurs in the present moment. Appreciate this simple awareness. Thought might come and then they go. If you are not feeding them, if you are not strengthening them, they will go there by their own. Thank you very much. You can open your eyes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now move to a special session on mindfulness in nature. And beginning this session is Ms. Kumanga Andrahennadi, and she will come up on stage and first begin with a silent prayer and then move on to her presentation. Kumanga?
Can you hear me? Because my voice can be very low. First of all, Venerable Dhammajiva Hamdurane, Venerable Rinpoche Rinpoche, and most respected members of the clergy, mothers, fathers, brothers and sisters. This session is very personal subject for myself and Professor Kotagama here. So we will begin with a silent prayer, and I was advised to guide you through to begin the prayer. What we can do is we can imagine that we are somewhere beautiful in Mother Nature, a place that we've been, that we like. It could be a beautiful beach, it could be up in the mountain, wherever that your imagination will take you. And just a very brief silent prayer, thanking nature for protecting us all these eons. So thank you. Let's begin. Thank you. You may open your eyes. My research for the last 8 years have been based in Scotland, in UK. Can you hear me? Is that better? I'm very much, I feel gratitude for all the teachers who have taught me the practice of mindfulness in many traditions, specifically in the Vajrayana tradition of Buddhism, Professor Rinpoche Rinpoche. And from the scientific aspect, I have studied with John Kabat-Zinn, Dr. John Kabat-Zinn, and I had the opportunity to study with His Holiness the Dalai Lama and His Holiness Karmapa, and I have attended conferences also, including the Mind and Life conference in Boston in 2015, where I presented as well the current research. So it's been a fortunate journey, and today what I'm sharing is my very personal experience. So as we know, this connection of water, my subject is very much connected to water. Mindfulness-Based Design Practice, MBDP, is the concept that I developed through my PhD process. So I'm still awaiting my final exam in April. I just handed over my thesis in December. And Venerable Rinpoche Rinpoche, who's here with us today, has been a close advisor all the way, and I've known Rinpoche for the last 10 years. So my love for water came from this very island. My father is from Tangol, and I lived there up until I was 5 years old. So anytime we went to Tangol, and we used to play in the water. And as we know, our Candy Temple, beautiful Candy Temple, we have the lake nearby, and our economy itself depends on water very much for the beautiful beaches and the tea. And I wanted to research how I could connect with water and nature. So I looked into different aspects of water. For example, maybe you can't see clearly, I looked at 4 aspects: the global problems, the general characteristics, water resources, and extraordinary characteristics of water. The 18th century poet and scientist Johann Wolfgang von Goethe referred to water as the ground of all being. And as we know, we are made up of water, 70% of water. Our brain is floating in water, about 80%. And Buddhist teachers have used water to describe the way our mind works. Lord Buddha himself used water as an analogy. And in Buddhist texts, you can find the waterfall, river, and the ocean. That they say that when we begin a practice, it's like the waterfall continuously pouring over a cliff. And as we continue with the practice, it's like the river meandering through a valley. Sometimes our practice may be distracted, but we can come back to the practice with more ease. And then it may become like the ocean without waves. From the history, artists use water as inspiration. The Trevi Fountain in Rome, Leonardo da Vinci looked at water as a scientist perspective as well as an artist. And Monet, very famous water lily pond. He painted for over 30 years the reflections of the clouds on his water lily pond. And then I'm sure if you've heard about Dr. Masaru Emoto, who conducted experiments of our vibration on the actual effects of the water structure. So what he said was if you expose a certain vibration to water, that there's an effect to the structure. So I wanted to see if this was true. So in 2010, I went first to Japan to attend a conference where I met him. And then I discussed in further detail that I would like to learn this technique. Then I flew back to Japan in August and I spent 4 weeks in his lab learning how to do this technique. So what we do is we have 50 Petri dishes, and first of all you get a water sample, and you have a neutral, and then you have another sample. So for the second sample, you expose a vibration. It could be a sound, it could be an image, it could be simply an emotion. And then you put about 3 millimeters in diameter drops into these Petri dishes, and then you freeze the water in about minus 30 degrees, and then you photograph the crystallization under minus 8 degrees temperature. So I did this inside a fridge, that's me. So this is what you see under the microscope below for the water crystal forming. It starts from completely black kind of space, and it beautifully rises, and then it dissolves. So the reason why we do about 50 samples is because only few will come to the top towards the microscope. It's a metal viewing microscope, so the light comes from the bottom. And you have a very short time because the water melts very quickly, so you have to be very quick in taking the photographs. So these are photographs that I took by myself after learning the technique. So number 1 is actually a lady from Scotland gave me a Baha'i healing prayer. So I kept it by the water and I did the experiment. Number 2 is taken from a Buddhist temple in Japan, which they have the relic of Lord Buddha, and I took the water sample from there. And number 3 is actually the very first experiment that I did by myself, where I sat by water and I exposed my love towards water. So maybe you can see a little bit, that you can see the heart crystal, the heart inside. And then number 4 and 5, one of my friends gave me a water sample from a very sacred spring in Japan. And I kept some water in a plastic bottle for 5 days, and the other one in a glass bottle for 5 days. And the one number 5 is that plastic bottle. Only very, very few fully formed crystals were formed, whereas number 4 had very clear, fully formed crystals. And number 6 is another sacred place in Japan. I took the water. And then number 7 is water blessed by His Holiness the 17th Karmapa. And I have mixed up the photographs there. Number 8 is Venerable, His Holiness the Karmapa, water blessed by His Holiness the Karmapa. And number 7 is water blessed by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. This is the very first time that I have shown this photo of the water blessed by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, because I managed to get this done in 2015. And then now, coming back to mindfulness, why we are here today. And I don't need to go deep into it because many speakers have already spoken about mindfulness and its effects, etc. And only thing that I want to say is that I have personally gone through the MBSR, Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction Program, and the MBCT program, and they're very, very effective. I had a very bad, severe injury on my knee, above my knee, and I flew to the UK just to do the MBCT teacher training program. And the only reason why I could stay that week, the residential program, was because of the practice that I was given there. So it was very effective in managing pain, where one of the main reasons why Professor John Kabat-Zinn initially introduced the program. And we know that there are different aspects that spoken before, MBSR, MBCT, and other MBIs. And we already spoke about that we use the word non-judgmental in the Western literature. And I'm sorry that you can't read. It was supposed to be faded away, the pictures in the background. Something has happened within the presentation. Maybe I can read. Again, here I refer to the Buddhist roots of mindfulness, how the meditation techniques can be divided into shamatha and vipassana. Now, the one element that I've introduced here with the water element is that it's very much connected to the Vajrayana Buddhist tradition, which we use visualization practices to develop certain qualities of the mind. So, the framework that I've taken within the practice is actually, of course, the 4 foundations of mindfulness. And this is quite important because when King Milinda asked Monk Nagasena what mindfulness is, and then Monk Nagasena explained that when Sati, when it arises, calls to mind wholesome and unwholesome tendencies, with false and faultless, inferior and refined, dark and pure, together with their counterparts. So basically what he's saying is that we can really recognize what is going on, and that we can also, with our wisdom, we can see if it's negative or positive. And I have also introduced within the mindfulness-based design practice the method of dialogue, because His Holiness speaks about the importance of dialogue. So when a group of people come together, we can also, the similar way that we watch our own thought process in our mind through the method of mindfulness, we can also observe as a collective what happens. So that is the practice of dialogue according to Bohm, and he's a quantum physicist from the UK. So it's been introduced within my research as well. And this is the framework which the practice of mindfulness, which was introduced as a 4-week module within the University of Dundee for Masters for Design students. So we created a module called Mindful Design Practice module, and the students they went through a very intensive 5 days of meditation practice, followed by a 2nd week of self-reflection and practice. 3rd week, I only went in once, and then the 4th week, we went out to the sea to practice. So as you can see, there are different practices that we did together, mindfulness of the body, feelings, mind, but with a real focus on water elements, water element as the mindfulness of phenomena. So here we meditated with forms of water, smells of water, sounds of water, tastes of water, touches of water, and thoughts of water, the 6 sensory bases. So I created this diagram. Once again, it's very complicated. You can't see it very clearly here. The water element can connect with our 6 senses quite clearly. And this is an advantage to practice a mindfulness practice with water. So again, here I'm referring to the 6 modalities of consciousness, which is, so even in Buddhist texts, they say that our experience is very much based on our sensory experiences. So our eyes, our nose, our ears, taste, touch, we create our reality around these senses. So like I explained, the 4 weeks, we had 8 workshops in total, following John Kabat-Zinn's model. And the very first week, every day in the morning, for 1.5 hours, we did the practice. So the first week we focused on the form of practice, which I brought in the practice with the waterfall, guided visualization practice. And then we did the water tasting practice. Tasting simply drinking a glass of water, how to do that mindfully. And then the sound practice, the rain, the waterfall, and the sound of the ocean. And the smelling practice, simply actually smelling the glass of water, because we are totally unaware in day-to-day life when we drink our water, or even when we drink a cup of tea. We don't know what's going on here. So every day we focused on one sense at a time. And then the touch. The touch practice, we did it with the ice cube. So I gave it on their hand and we had to feel into the sensations that it brought. And then the last workshop, we did it as a retreat, and I used these beautiful water crystals as the practice, because these water crystals arise from the empty space, and it creates and it dissolves into the empty space. So this was the final practice to actually experience the deep sense of interconnectedness. I don't think I need to go into this. Finally, so I explained that there's very much the focus is developing qualities. And during the very final week, I had very in-depth interviews with the students who participated. And they were very open in expressing what they went throughout the 4 weeks. And I only asked 4 questions, but those interviews went for about 45 minutes each. And it was very clear. I used a software called NVivo to actually, to take out these 14 qualities that I'm mentioning here. And there were 2 students actually within the class who were going through support for their mental health. One lady told me during the interview that she doesn't need to go to the counselor, because she's realized that it is all really everything, she's making it up. So, and then the second student also, I've been in touch with them after 2 years since I first conducted the session. He recently got a job because he expressed to the interview panel that he's a mindfulness practitioner. So there's definitely an impact. So this is the 4-week model. First week, second week, third week, and how it expanded, how you can see the ripple effect. And I speak about within my thesis something called the ripple effect. And this ripple effect refers to deeply understanding the interconnected nature of the mind, of phenomena. So I spoke about the method of dialogue. The students were able to express that they were, through each and everyone sharing within the dialogue, that they were experiencing different qualities of their mind. The others were also able to experience it at a later time. So therefore, they were creating this something called a meaning pool as the practice went by. And then the other one is through the method of mindfulness, all these different qualities which arose as well as the weeks passed by. So that's the ripple effect. So here, again, it's not very clear there. So therefore, both the methods of mindfulness and dialogue have supported the unfolding meaning of the ripple effect in 2 ways. Number 1 is the participants recognize the interdependent nature of the positive qualities of the mind, thereby recognizing the nature of phenomena. And number 2 is the participant recognize the positive qualities of the mind through the meaning pool, thus recognizing the interdependent nature of each other as a collective group in recognizing the positive qualities of the mind, thereby recognizing the interdependent nature of phenomena. So this is some photographs from the practice we did. This was the last retreat we did together. That's the ice cube practice, the tea practice, and then we sat by water, we listened to water, and we did prayers for water. So the practice involved mainly elements. And I would like to read 3 quotes from the 3 Buddhist masters who have supported me throughout the research. His Holiness the 17th Karmapa said that, "I think in water itself we can see these qualities and all the phenomena of the mind. They are showing that they are the teacher, revealing the path. Many religious traditions use water for purification, and that is why water is really powerful. That is why, of course, water itself is living instruction or living dharma. If we can understand this and if we can take water as a dharma practice, I think it's very good. We can learn a lot of things from water." And very Venerable Rinpoche Rinpoche said, to think about water, to feel the water, to find a focus of your mind on water has some very important elements. Even practically in the real life, when you're sitting next to a lake, you feel calm and clear. So especially when you visualize that this water is not just clear, but with all these positive qualities of water, your mind becomes what your mind feels. If you feel hatred, then you become that. If you feel angry, you become that. When you feel love, you become that. This way, if you feel this water and all these positive calm and cool qualities, it is healing and your mind becomes like that. So therefore, it has an effect. And when Venerable Mingyur Rinpoche said that, Venerable Mingyur Rinpoche is very important because he's one of the monks who was tested in the presentations that was given. So he said, when I interviewed him for my thesis, he said, especially for me, when I see water, there is a feeling of cool, calm, compassion aspect and a flexibility aspect. So when we meditate, just watching the river flow makes the mind calm, cooling, and there is a sense of not dry, but richness and flexibility. So this is what we call the third teacher. Sometimes what we call the symbolic teacher also. Phenomena become the teacher. So this message, now my time is up. I will quickly show you a picture where everything started. At the very beginning, I did this practice with very young children, 3 to 4 year olds actually, for about a year. But I didn't get ethical approval to film them or photograph them because I can't interview them. They don't know how to really express for me to do because this was 8 years ago, remember. But recently I have started to get back into my main interest of teaching children these practices. So I've been going to Norway recently and conducting sessions in the UK as well, and they love it. They really connect with the water element because as children we love playing with water. So yes, thank you very much. And I just wanted to say one more thing about Bodhicharya. We are currently looking for land to set up the first Tibetan Buddhist center in Sri Lanka, and Venerable Rinpoche Rinpoche will be the head of the monastery here. And also we are planning to create a mindful living project where a community of people will live together, and also to create a vocational training center for the deaf in Sri Lanka. The picture below is taken when we officially launched our foundation in 2015. Those children are deaf children. They can't hear the sound, but they dance so beautifully. And we are not so aware of this, and we must help these children because they do not have much of a bright future in Sri Lanka. So thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much, Kumanga, for starting off that session on mindfulness in nature. I'd now like to invite Professor Sarath Kotagama. You've heard him yesterday, and he's back today.
Hi, Bhuvan. Subhag Udasana. Good morning to all of you. Today, I don't know. Let me see. I thought this is what I should be talking today, which I thought 1 week ago. I was first asked to come only today, then I was asked to come yesterday, and then I was said, well, there's something on to the 22nd also. So unfortunately, I had so many things in my hands, so I just simply couldn't make it on the 22nd. I have said a lot yesterday, so mindful reflections of the environment destruction. This has been done by development. Sorry, but that is the fact. It has resulted very clearly, even to have pictures like this on the time cover, Planet of the Year, Time, Endangered Earth. There has been a lot about this, and I don't want to repeat because we all know what is happening. But in 2003, scientists got together, or scientists were made to come together by the Secretary General of the United Nations, Kofi Annan, and asked, have we forgotten sustainable lifestyles and development that we endorsed in 1992? Can you please go back into your laboratories and tell me whether this earth is sick or not? So more than 900 scientists were involved in this Millennium Ecosystems Assessment. 38 indicators were looked at, and the result was that not a single indicator was positive. It's like if we walk into the hospital and get our medical check of our body and the doctor says, you have too much cholesterol, your pressure is bad, you have sugar, you have this, that, and the other, now you are sick. All these days you were not sick. So it was an opening, actually, for the world to realize that the earth is sick. And when did it all start? All the 38 indicator graphs showed that it shot off after 1948. Up to 1948, in the Anthropocene era, which we started somewhere around 1800, we were okay. We managed ourselves. But after 1948, all the graphs just went up. If you look at it, you will see there's a kink, and this kink is what is causing the problems today. And just 2 days ago, I was just narrating it there. Thoughts come, I have to say it to you. There was a very interesting outcome article which came in the Science, Daily Science, which I receive every day. Islands are not sinking. Climate change is a farce. So I thought, something is wrong. Then I realized it's the English. Islands are not sinking. That's true. They have been overwhelmed by the rising sea. So why do you say it's sinking? It can't sink. It is static. So this is the argument. True, it is not sinking. But they are not saying that the sea is rising. So we are in this world today with all these problems. We are sick, but we still want to say, no, I don't have cholesterol, I don't have sugar, I don't have any problem. But we are sick. So what do? That's, I think, the important thing. We realized this much earlier in the 1972, but I was out on the street in 1970, April 22nd. That's the Earth Day. That's the first time we started standing for the environment, for the people. It set the trend. The UN discussed human environment. Poverty was the main problem then. The spokesperson was Madam Indira Gandhi. She very clearly said, the problems that you're talking don't exist in our countries. But we have a problem of poverty. And if we don't get over this, we are going to destroy the environment more than what you're doing. If you reflect back, if you were at that time in this country also, you will realize that there were deforestation, migration to the city. 55% of the people in Colombo are those who started coming into Colombo in the late 60s and early 70s. Where do they live? In the shanties. Today, of course, they are in mahals, big houses. But that's the main vote, so it's very important. Development, we said you should change to sustainable development. Still today, number one in the sustainable development goals, poverty. So I say the poverty necklace has not changed. We have only added beads, but the string is still the same. To get rid of that, we have to get rid of a lot of things. In the meantime, the ecological footprint has gone berserk. We are 1.5 today. We are expected to reach 3 times by 2030 if nothing is done. So as an activist in the environment, I had to find a mechanism to try and make a change. So one day we sat down with Professor Carl Fonseca in a program for the radio, and he came up with this very interesting idea, thoughts and some words, which I have now put in. And I use this to call the needs-wants analysis. Because when you look at the sustainable development definition, it talks only about the needs. But that is not what we are. We all want everything. We are only talking about wants and not the needs. Maybe I have lost my job now, but this is because we want to stay where we are. Can we change? So I thought I should do a small analysis with the thoughts from Carlo Fonseca. Humanistic needs. Who are we? What are our needs? As an animal, we have needs. So I am a zoologist, so I look at myself as an animal. You may not want to, but please accept it that you are an animal, right? That is because, the problem is because we have forgotten that, right? If we were animal as animal, we would not have caused all these problems. Food. All animals need food to survive. How you acquire it, whether you kill somebody to acquire it or you eat a plant, doesn't make, still you are killing a plant, is required. Then we all need space. When we come up into the human ladder, of course, we have different kinds of spaces. We have intimate space, social space, community space, and so on and so forth. But we all need space. If we don't have it on the horizontal plane, we will go vertical, as high as possible. Now 1 kilometer tall building coming up in somewhere in the Middle East. We all need a mate. We are not every reproductive, we have to reproduce to ensure the future generation. If we were amoeba, maybe not necessary, but we are not amoebas, so we need a mate to make sure that we will survive. Animals don't need much education. They are inherently knowing what to do, but come to man, we can't do anything without it. We will not be born to breathe if not for the mother giving the natural birth. Since most of us today in the world, the children are born by cesarean, the first lesson they get is a whacking. And we are saying the children are bad. So I said, obviously, if the first lesson is a whacking, then how can the child not know that somebody hits me, it's going to pain? I should also react that way. Mother enabled us to breathe. The whacking makes us breathe. So we need to learn all of these things. Without education, we are nowhere today. House and shelter. Animals do have shelter. They create houses, but we create things out of artificial stuff and putting things together, and our houses have become bigger and bigger. That is the issue we have. We are all concerned about the existence. Animals don't think about this very much, but we think about it a lot. We need to exist. We thought about it. Mindfulness is all about existence, probably. You want to be living more longer, be happy when you're living, all that. Animals don't think all these things. They just exist. But we are talking about existence. Security. Oh, it's a huge issue. Various levels of security. Food security, you can say water security, which is the biggest problem for the future, right? Because you're not going to have enough drinking water. Already nobody drinks water from the tap because it's insecure, but it is treated. We don't drink any water from the puddles, which we used to drink without any fear, because they are chemically contaminated. So we are all talking about levels of security in different ways. Social security, when something bursts somewhere, we are talking what has the security forces done. They have not done the right thing, and we keep going like that. We all have a sense of belonging. We want to belong to somewhere. Animals do have this sense, but compare ourselves. You're all here because you belong to something. We all belong to the group of mindfulness thinking. That's why the rest is outside, they are not here. Right? So we all want this relationship that we want to have, linked with affection. Again, various levels, at various places, at various times of our life, this affection becomes very, very important. Knowledge. We strive to acquire knowledge. If we have it right, then we do it correctly. If we acquire it wrong, then we do it wrong. But we need to acquire this knowledge. Animals don't need this. They can just do what they have to do. We have some other things also, engagement. We engage in something. I call it samadhi. We need to do something. And where do you see it best? Not among us. You are all seated. Release a child and what happens? We have to go and bring him back or bring her back. We whack the fellow because he is doing everything that we don't like. So that's why I ask, how many times have your parents hit you? And every time your parent hit you, including my own parent, is because I did what he didn't like. So my theory is, let the child do what he wants to do. So you must be thinking, yes, I have never hit my children. They are all 27 and 20. I have never touched them. But they know what I mean. That's a way of bringing them, right? Because they want to be engaged. And if we don't allow them to get engaged, they won't be what we want them to be without us. Excitement. Unique to humans. We jump up. We are glued to the television when they are playing cricket. Almost the face is on the screen. Right? The alpha gamma rays are playing hell then. Dopamines are working in the body. All that happens. But this is unique to us. A dog may be looking at the television and doing that and like that. No, that's just a reflection only. Right? But we are excited. Leisure. We want leisure. After doing everything for the day, we want to relax. We want to stretch ourselves. If that is not enough, we want to go somewhere, go to nature, go to the jungle to be feeling relaxed. We need leisure of different kind. Some are leisures that we want to make it hard on ourselves. Others are leisures that we think can relax ourselves. And of all the things, we want freedom. I don't know what it means. I don't know anybody knows what it means. But we all want freedom. At what expense? I don't know. If you look around the world, it's chaotic because they're all looking for freedom. But as humans, we have in addition some things to these needs, which we call wants. What are they? Clothes. I don't think any animal needs clothes, but we want it. Because we have made the society to need the clothes. It may have different reasons, but the problem is we make it with accessories also. There are some places like the peacock, it has some accessories. It needs to get its mate, so it has a flock of feathers, a trail of feathers, which it dances, and the females come around and look at, good, that one I like. But we wear it for everything and everywhere, so I don't know. You have to ask yourself, do you need it? Medicine and care. Care, yes, in the animal world, but medicine, nowhere. But now we are saying the macaws and the aratingas are eating mud somewhere in Peru in a mud and going away every day in the morning because they know that they are going to eat poisonous leaves, and so they are eating the mud ball so that the poison will get absorbed. So we follow suit and give mud pills when you have swallowed some poison. We say that the cat is taking medicine when he's going and eating that plant Cupomania. We are saying it. The cat is not saying, I have to take this prescription and go and eat Cupomania. We are saying it. But care, definitely. All animals do have, and we have more than others. Beauty, aesthetics, music, name it. They don't appreciate anything. In the animal world, the animals don't have that. Of course, they build. The bowerbird has a beautiful way of attracting the female. It collects the shiny items that are around and places in front of the nest. And then the female comes and looks at it. Yes, I like him. The weaver bird makes a nice, beautiful nest and puts a dance on it. All the females are around. If the dance is nice, the female accepts it, then the male completes the nest and hands over it to the female and goes and builds another nest. Not good. Because I don't promote that. But that happens in the animal world. So there is aesthetics. So they do understand the beauty. They understand that there is something. But we have so much more in it. To all of this, we put another factor, which we call the basics and luxuries. What do we have? I would say that we are living in luxury. So many different kinds of burgers, king burgers, super king and everything, because we want quality. The size of what we need to eat is important. But why are we eating so much? Quantity, numbers is another factor that we have added on to, right? And then we make it symbolic. The birds do have a little bit, or the animal world has a little bit of symbols here and there. As I said, the bow bird, the weaver bird, and there are so many other, the bird of paradise, they have all kinds of feathers with beauty functions and all of that. But we are the good animals to make everything symbolic. Today, millions. Pre-shoot, shoot, and after-shoot toss now. I can't understand, but what is the pre-shoot and the shoot and the after-shoot? That toss has now come. So these things, and there are exhibitions all over. And what you wear, how you wear, where do you wear, right? The dress that you wear has become so fancy, and somebody said, where did this low country fellow wear this up-country uniform? How can he fit into this? He can't, but he fits in because then he becomes up-country. So, result, different lifestyles of various kinds. From the extremely poor to the most rich and the richest. You have seen this in the television, you know what I mean. Market. This is the one that drives everything. These are the proximate factors that are causing. We are the victims of the market system. And add to it, you don't have to carry money. I don't carry money also, because I also carry this plastic. And the bank tells me, useless, sir, you are useless. I said, why? Because you always pay and we can't take any interest from you. So I said, that is what I want you to do. You take my money and do a lot of things with it. So I also must have a way of making you do what I want. So I take the card, but I will not give you interest. But we have been made to do all these things. And the result, of course, is consumption. The ultimate problem, we had these proximate factors, numbers, market economy, ultimate factor, eating, 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 consumption. The day we stop this, we will solve the problem. But then that is not what we are doing. We are adding more. So I would say be mindful of yourself with all those factors that I said, because they are necessary. But when you start adding the wants, be a little more mindful than the average, because if not, you're harming the environment. That is all. So problems cannot be solved within the mindset that created them, because we are still with those who created them. We have to have those who have been the victims of it and realize that we didn't create it. I didn't create it. I say very clearly, though I am in the generation of those who are at the top talking about development, I say, no, I am not part of you. So I didn't create it because I have always been against it. But everybody else, including you in this hall, if you are around 50s, 40s, 30s, you are part of the story. Unless we personally start changing through being mindfulness of the reality, the environment is not going to change. It's going to go down the drain. Let's make a difference. To do that, you need to be mindful, and mindful practices and all of these things are important. I try that with my students all the time, and I know they sometimes say, sir, ki never kerot apata kandat naha kiyala. So I said, fine, don't eat because you won't die, right? You eat only what you need, not what you want. So think about that very carefully, right? Thank you very much, because I am going to skip all the rest. Everyone, Sarna.
entertaining as always, but a lot of substance there for us to think about and maybe change our lifestyles as well. Thank you very much, both Kumanga and Professor Kotagama. I'd like to, at this point, invite Isha Suryaperuma to present Kumanga with a token of our appreciation. No question and answer. I'm sorry we don't have the time today. Thank you very much to both our speakers. You may step down. A brief respite before lunch. We've been talking a lot about nature, about mindfulness, and about evolution as well, and how it has impacted our living in our existence. This next item is actually about peace, and it is being sung and performed by the students of Vidura College, Colombo, and we would like to have them on stage. This is the choir of Vidura College, Colombo. Please come up on stage. There are children from grade 5 who are 11-year-olds and grade 6 as well, and grade 7. And we will see a total of about 20 of them on stage today performing the Vidura Peace Song.
I am breathing out.
That's the Vidura College Choir with the Vidura Peace Song. Tokens of appreciation to the children for their hard work. They came in for rehearsals as well. If there's any members of the clergy in the hall, please make your way to lunch now. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain in your seats. The ushers will come and tell you when there is room in the cafeteria, so you can move in. Also, you've all been given plastic water bottles, bottles of water. When you finish with it, could you just leave them on your chairs, because we are recycling the bottles, so don't take it away where you will just put it in the bin. Keep it here. There is a recycler who comes in and takes the plastic water bottles. Thank you.